So here's Vazu. I'm super excited to be with you today, Vazu. So we're going to have a great time together. And so, Vazu, for how long have you been using 360? So, well, perhaps even before we start, what do you do at Ariba, at SAP Ariba?
Hey, yeah, Bruno, thanks for having me. See, yeah, I live in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, as we stated before. So, yeah, I'm part of SAP Ariba since 2008. I'm a primary business object and data services administrator. I'm part of a BIIT application business intelligence team, right? So my team provides the basic support, and then we facilitate the analytics platform that consists of business objects for reporting, especially the Webby, and SAP Analytics Cloud and Lumira for dashboarding. And we use business object data services for ETL to build the data marts. So we use SAP Ariba business object since 2004 2005 timeframe. So like I am a customer since the business objects XIR2 onwards. I would say it's almost 2 decades. I cannot believe that. And then we use data services since 2012. So now it's almost like 10
Mm,
years, like it's a decade ago, right? So yeah, we support Ariba's various internal departments such as product engineering, customer support organization, sales, and customer cloud analytics team, and etc. Right. So that is what it is from within Ariba. But we use the 360 suite since 2050, like almost 7 8 years from now. So we are
mhm.
one of the happy
2015,
customer.
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, we are one of the happy customer of 360 suite tools.
And Vazu, I've known you for quite a few years, and actually within Ariba, Vazu is known as Superman. So whenever there's a problem, if it's down or there's a problem, like Vazu is the type of guy that's going to get things done quickly and properly. So he's got a solid reputation, is very knowledgeable, and in fact, Vazu has helped us over the years. We've actually worked on functionalities together, whether it's for 360 for business objects or for data services. So it's been a very good, it's been a very good teamwork for us and for you. And at Ariba, so you were mentioning you were using 360 for, well, since 2015, basically. What have been the common use cases? Why you've been using 360?
Yeah. So we started using for a backup and recovery in Bob J 4.0 time frame. There is no like taking backup of individual reports and restore it, right? Even that is before a recycle bin was invented in business object.
Yep.
So we need a backup and restore tool. So then also we need some type of disaster recovery plan. So we wanted to add 360 suites our DR plan. That's how we started. So then we started using all other tools like 360 bind for regression testing, 360 cast for publishing reports, and then 360 eyes. We love 360 eyes for business object. We deep dive, do a lot of analysis. Even we expose the 360 eyes reports to all the end users. They want to know what's going on, like how many scheduled reports ran and how many failed and things like that. So we use like now end-to-end 360 tools for business objects. And recently, last year, we started using 360 eyes for data services. So yeah, that's what it is.
And about Ariba, just if you want to say a couple of words as well.
Yeah. So people might know about SAP Ariba. SAP Ariba is a e-procurement company that provides supply chain and spend management cloud solution for a large and small mid-sized companies, right? Also, we have Ariba Network. Now it is known as SAP Business Network. Is a dynamic digital platform
Mm,
where millions of buyers and suppliers across the globe they transact trillions of dollars in business commerce every year, right? So Ariba become part of SAP Cloud Commerce division since 2012. So,
yeah.
so now Ariba is part of SAP, as you know.
Yep. And funny enough, you're a customer, and then we're also a customer, so it's kind of funny. So, yeah,
Yeah,
so many businesses today are using Ariba, and frankly, it's actually pretty cool, and it makes our life actually a lot easier, frankly
Mhm.
speaking. So, Vazu, tell us about your SAP business object landscape and your data services landscape at Ariba.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, thanks for sharing the slide. So this is left-hand side, we put business object platform. So right now we are using 4.3 SP2. We are thinking about upgrading to SP3 that is released like in December, right? We have two different production installation. We use HANA 2.0 as our backend database,
Mm,
and our platform is on Linux. So that's what on the BobJ side of it. And then we have tons of reports, like especially we are webby reports reporting team. We have tons of webby reports. 500 plus scheduled reports are running every day, and there are 100 plus universes we have. And then we started using Lumera as our dashboarding. Also, SAP Analytics Cloud. We installed the live data connector to integrate with SAC Analytics Cloud. So that's how we do a dashboarding nowadays with the Bob J side. On data services side, we recently upgraded to DS 4.3. That's the latest version with the IPS 4.3 SP2. And
mm,
we have three different production installation on three different platform. On on BODS side, we are always on Windows for some reason. We are on Windows, and they have 7 different repository full of jobs running, like 30 plus jobs running 24/7. There are tons of workflows and data flows developed. We have a team of ETL developer who develops a lot of ETL code within data services. So most
yeah.
important, we are moving 9 billion rows of data every month using data services.
Yeah,
Right,
that's
that's
not
what it
small,
is.
and I
And
know
then
that.
for our 360
Yeah.
suites, we recently upgraded to version 2.0. Yeah, yeah, that's right. That's not a
Eh,
small number. So the
no,
360
it's
suite
pretty
side,
large.
we recently upgraded to version 2023.1. Yeah.
Okay, which is the latest version. And by the way, yeah, you're not a small mom and pop shop here, and it's also we'll hear about the challenges that you have with all the repositories that you have because that can be pretty challenging. And are you a fan of 360 Suite, Vazu? And is SAP a fan of 360 Suite?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We are a big fan of 360 suites. That helps us, especially for administrator like me. It make my life easier, right? So, and that is what it is. Like, there are certain things we cannot able to do conventionally, or we need to write our custom scripting code using
Mhm.
SDK. So that has been avoided using 360 suites, and then we know that works all the time, right? So that's our experience with 360 suites, right?
And I understand in terms of upgrading, migrating, that was also extremely useful and saving a lot of time.
Yes, yes, yeah, yeah. Especially the migration, like we do that regression testing. So before
Mm,
migrating, after migrating, we run some that the bind tool. It's kind of a capture that it compare the charts, and it even
mm,
compare the graphics beyond the numbers too. So we can see the difference before even rolling out to production. Is a new version of upgrade is holds good or not, and things like that. Yeah, we extensively use, and then typically it saves a lot of time and energy for administrator, as well as it saves a lot of cost for the management. We don't need any additional resources, to get the job done.
okay. So in terms of use cases, so while we're preparing this event, you were mentioning there's three use cases that you have. So one, of course, is you got multiple data services installations, and one of the challenge was, well, damn, I need to centralize all the metadata into one location. The second use case is about monitoring. I understand it's a key, it's got a very high importance for your management. And of course, the last one is about documentation. So, about the first one. So, what how are you doing before? How are you doing after? Since you're now able to centralize the metadata.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good question, Bruno. So the picture says it all, right? In the left hand side, like a before world, it is like a manual process with the help of
Mm,
either a ETL developer or administrator. We need to log into the each BOD's installation, connect to the admin tool, and download the file that has all the job status and completed and things like that, right? And then
mm,
we have to do for three different installation, and then consolidate the file, and then give it to our manager, and he kind of extract the metrics out of it, and then he put it in his PPT. And this how we do, to collect the metrics. It's like little
mm,
time consuming, like it's a manual process. And also it's like a data accuracy issues, right? Like we
mm,
may we may time to time we may mess up things like formulas and things like that. That is before. So after 360 for 360 eyes for data services, we just installed a component called the extractor on every three different production platform, right? That extractor extract the data and then put it in the common database, like 360 is a common database. So then, as you stated before, as Maruchi said, we have a pre-built universe on top of it. There are pre-canned reports coming on top of it. Of course, we customize our own report because our own KPI is not covered by the pre-canned reports. Then we
mm.
automatically publish the report into a portal, like internal portal. So this is end-to-end automated, and more than that, it's kind of almost close to real time. As you said, it's on
Mm.
demand. When you want to see the metrics, if you just refresh the report, you may get the latest metrics out of it. So this is like it's not only time saving, it's more accurate, and then it's kind of more close to real time. The job runs daily, so that's why it's not actual real time. At least if you run a report today, at least you get a stats as of yesterday, right? It's better than before we need
Yeah.
to do every monthly or quarterly and things like that.
And like in terms of efficiency, how much efficiency have you, uh, saved, gained, leveraging a 360 suite?
Yeah, I would say more than 90%. Though I don't have exact number, it is almost more than 90%. I would say it saved a lot of effort. Like one time you need to install and configure, then it's on its way. There's no need to upgrade, and then the upgrade went smooth when recently I upgraded the older version of data service to the newer version, and I no need to touch anything. Just unzip and copy
Mm,
the file, and all the license key and the config file needs to be copied back and put it back. That's it. Things will go fine without even tweaking anything. So it's kind of I would say 90% and above, Bruno.
okay. The second use case, it's about monitoring. So I understand that was actually extremely important for SAP Ariba's management, where they have to report on a regular basis on KPI for
Yeah.
monitoring. So, um, what can you tell us about that and why that is important and how you were doing before and now?
Yeah. Again, that's a good question. So before, what we do, we monitor job completion by email alerts. Once the job fails, we get alert saying that, hey, the job has failed. So
Hmm.
the person responsible for the job, his responsibility go and restore the job, rerun the job. Even sometimes the job completes, but it takes a long time to complete, like the performance issue pops up in between. For some reason, the job takes like a tremendously long time, so we need to babysit the job. If you don't see the email by end of the day, that means that the job is running for too long. And then
Hmm.
sometimes the job completes, the data volume is very less. It used to process this many rows per day. Suddenly one day there is a poor volume in load for so many other reasons, right? So then bo- it's kind of a bottleneck for the developer. They need to keep checking, and they need to keep themselves busy by checking, make sure the job runs, make sure the data volume is there, and it's running on time and things like that. So that's before. So after, now you can see in the presentation in the right hand side, in the top chart is a daily data job running status. The bottom one is a hourly. That's why you see so many bar charts kind of stacked up, tightly packed together. See the red bars stating the number of row processed, the blue one, how much time it took to process. Like you see, there's a spike in the top chart. There's a spike in one day that it take like almost like 5 to 6 times of times higher. The processing time is 1 day, right? So it is easy for anybody, not even you don't need to be developer to understand this. Once a report is coming to you, you see, hey, why there is a performance problem on that specific day. And you see in the bottom chart, sometime there's a gap, that means the job failed, it did not run, so it picked up next time, right? And then
Mhm.
the processing time slows down and then goes up, and someday it spikes. We see someday there is a spike. So this is a kind of a 360 eyes, put the visibility. You no need to deep dive into anything, you no need to dig through your email, you no need to check your log files. So by just running a report, it tells a trend. It also checks, it's kind of a pulls in the historical data,
Got it.
and then we can make some trend line saying that, hey, my job is running healthy, so there is a less failure. And then yeah, it's like a, so this is a kind of a KPI. The management team wanted to track how much time job
Mhm.
failed, how much time, how efficiently we process rows in our daily basis.
And
So
is it fair to say, Vizu, that before 360, basically you were, let's say, reactive, and now you're proactive? Is this a fair assessment?
yeah, yeah. So we can say, yeah, establish a trend, right? See, we found someday that, hey, every Saturday the job is taking long time. So then we found the problem that, hey, there is something going on during Saturdays on certain servers and things like that. So using this patterns and trends, we are able to predict what is going to happen next Saturday, something like that, right? So
Mm.
we are in a more in a predictive side instead of reactive. The job fails, we go and react. So now we kind of anticipate based on the trend what is happening in the past. We can foresee some problem in the future too, like what is happening. So then it's a handy. So you don't need to be technically savvy ETL developer to derive the conclusion. If any manager can runs a report, then they know what's going on.
Mhm. And if I recall, for your management, uh, in terms of monitoring, the two pains for them was, hey, I need to get some KPIs, how to monitor BobJ, business objects, and then on the other side, I need to provide KPIs on how to monitor data services, and that's what 360 Suite has been offering SAP there.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true. So the Bob J said it's easy. It's like uptime. So how much time
Mhm.
it's Bob J is up and running, but data services is not exposed to the end user, right? Like Maruti
Yeah.
said, it's for internal. The job runs, job fails. Nobody knows. The end user doesn't know. They may see the data discrepancy in the report, something like that, but only this is only it's kind of a operational type of a thing. We need to stay on top saying that all our jobs are ran successfully. So or how many our job success rate 99% in this last quarter. So that's kind of a KPI the management wants to know, and 360 eyes tool make it easier to capture those stats.
Mhm. Well, it brings us, in terms of capturing, it brings us to documenting. So that's another big use case for you.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, the documentation is kind of fun. I would say there's a documentation capability in VODs itself is available. But what makes 360 eyes is different is it can snapshot. You can track like what was last year's, how many number of jobs we ran compared to this year, right?
Mm.
There's a or even last quarter and this quarter you can compare how many new workflows or data flows has been developed, how many new jobs get added and things like that. So it is like difficult to track before, and now it's like a, since it's a snapshotted data information sitting in 360 eyes database all the time. It's a matter of writing a report and compare. That is one. So then it's ever changing. The documentation changes. That workflow, data flow changes a lot. So it's ever changing ETL environment. It is difficult to take a stab at the documentation once, right? But 360 eyes tool, it's make it easier. So if you
And
add any workflow, then you'll reflect it in the documentation automatically
c-
after the
c-
next data extraction. Yeah.
just for the audience, like, can you give like a scenario example of how you've used 360 eyes for data services for documentation?
Yeah, yeah. So one scenario, see, there is a situation that we have a database has supposed to be moved from one data center to the other data center, right?
Mm.
So this happens all the time. There is a database host has to be moved. So when you want to move the database host, has to be renamed and things like that. So any connection to the database, you need to change, right? So before we make the decision, we want to know quickly, what is the impact on this change. If you want to move this host from this location to the other location with the name changing, how much is going to affect the data services, right? So
Mm,
those kind of a question is kind of a technical in nature, and then it's needs some time from developer to go and understand. They run through their ODBC connection, or they kind of RDP to the host servers and check
mm,
what's going on. So instead of doing that, probably what we did quickly, we ran the documentation from 360 eyes, and then there's a target. If you see Mauritius demo, he has a source and target. So
yeah,
then in the target, we pick up a database name. We kind of filter the database name like a host name. In the source, we filter the host name, and then we run the report. That will give exactly how many projects that source or target database being used, or how many scheduled jobs that is being configured to run against the database. So then it's kind of we know immediately by running a report, just adding some filters. We are able to find out the impact of the depth of the changes that is required,
got
right?
it, got it.
So that's kind of helpful for the developer as well as anybody else in the team. We can do quick impact analysis when the situation comes. We are able, the information is there all the time with you.
Mhm, mhm. Okay. Thank you very much for sharing that. And I know as well you're using the documentation as well to do like regression testing, comparing metadata through time, and see what how it was before, after, have there been any changes, and make sure that it's fully trustable.
Yes.
Um, and then I think here we got a couple examples of some reports that you've worked on.
Yeah. Yeah, it's this interesting one. So we have three different installation. So consolidating all into one is
Mm,
kind of a big deal. So that is why the the left side top chart is showing. I have this many jobs running on three different servers. Right, the pie
mm,
chart gives you a 50% of the job running on server one, and 30% server two, and 25% server three. That gives the load balancing of where my resources I'm spending, like which platform is working more to in terms of do a heavy lifting of a data service. And that is one. On the right hand side, within a job, like what is a trend, how many times it's been successfully completed, how many times it's completed with warning, how many times it failed, like what is the
mm.
percentage of failure. So it is like a graphical representation on the real time. So this kind of we copy the pre-canned report, and then we customize the report for our need and make it work for us, like what we wanted to track and monitor, we are able to do it. It's like you need to have a simple knowledge about using a Webby reports. Like
Right.
if you are familiar with the Webby report creation, then it's easy. Like you can, it's like any report developer can bring the statistics. You don't need to be a ETL developer or administrator, right? Any report developer can pull the data.
Okay. And then, in terms of key takeaways, so um, overall, right now, you're able to do BI on ETL overall.
Mhm.
That's
Yes,
successful.
yeah, I agree. Yeah, BA on ETL can be done using this.
In terms of cost of ownership, so I recall, like, in terms, for example, of monitoring, it used to take you, it was like, it took days, and right now it's just, it's on demand. Is that a fair statement?
Yes. Yeah.
Um, Vazoo as well. When it comes to 360, so there are different people using, 360 eyes for data services. Like, there are the developers, of course. What's the value for them?
Yeah, the developers is importantly like documentation, like they want to
Mm,
keep track of the changes. That's one. And also the documentation helps indirectly, like as I said before, to do any impact analysis, anything like they want to change, is there any other
mm,
impact somewhere else. So that is helps the developer, and then we rely on developers to collect some metrics. And now a
mm,
developer no need to work on metrics collection, right? They can
mm.
focus on the problem, then collective pulling the metrics out of it. So this all
Sure.
different ways that will help in developers as a point of view.
What's the value for your your management?
Yeah, that's a good question. So for
'Cause, well,
management,
the money comes from there, so there has to be value there.
yeah. So the management point of view, so they need to wait like for a quarterly metrics or a monthly metrics, how operationally, how efficient we are in the operation and things like that. So now those metrics are coming like almost real time daily, and then it is
Mm,
published automatically. They don't need to bug anybody, because this is a, once we set up a process, once we define what KPI, once we define what we want to monitor, then it's kind of a clockwork. It's kind of they get it on time every time, accurate data all the time, right? So that's what
mm,
it is. That's I would say that helps the management to trust the process. The developers are doing a good job. If the job fails, we know by seeing the data, right? The trust element as well as a quick turnaround time, accurate data, this and all value for management.
okay. And Vazu, I know you're always trying different things and trying to optimize things. I know that's in your nature. It's if there's something, I know you'll try to optimize a process. And are there any tips, that you like to share to the audience about 360 eyes for data services and data services?
Yeah. So one thing I noticed when we started extracting the data using 360 eyes for data services,
Mm,
especially when you turn on the history, it takes a
mm,
long time to run the extraction program. Several
that's
hours it
right.
runs, right? When you run several hours and parallelly the jobs are running, sometime you get a deadlock error and then the extractor fails and stops. So then it took a while to understand the problem and troubleshoot the problem. We figured out that there is a history data in data services local repository database. It's not re-indexed in a,
Mm,
periodically. So what we did with the help of a DBA is we kind of established that index, rebuilding the index on the local repositories. So that's where that historical trending data and all stored in inside data services. It's stored in a database that's called local repositories. That local repository, we started building, rebuilding the indexes periodically. The
mm,
moment we started building index periodically, the data services extraction program now it is extracting faster. That means there is no deadlock error happening after we did this. So once it improved the performance, second it avoided the deadlock error. So if you're anybody using data services or want to use, you need to make sure that run the index rebuilding job on the database side, especially on the local repository or where it stores the historical data.
okay. Thank you. And Vazu, how has your experience been with 360 Suite
Yeah,
over
so
the
that's
years?
what. That's the. See, it's summarizing all the things I talked about. It's a very handy tool for administrator, and then it helps me to automate so many of my repetitive tasks that I do. So that makes my life easier. Number one. Number two, it helps the end users, like especially the 360 eyes, which is like any report developer can go and run the report to
Mm,
BA on BA kind of report, like so
mm,
that kind of typically they rely on administrator to ask some details. So now that information available to them all the time. So I need to ensure that the 360 extraction program runs. That's it. So rest all. So there are I can decentralize that my task to some of most of the report generation to the report developers. That also indirectly helps me that I know I work less now and focus on more things like automation and other things.
mm. And Vazu, in terms of risk, so for example, you were mentioning earlier, and I know we had worked together on the DR part
Yeah.
for 360. Is you know has that brought value and to SAP there?
Yes. See, that's a real. When we started, that's what our main goal is to set up a DR when in BO 4.0. So there's a less
Mm,
opportunity to do it. Like since now we are more comfortable, like doing it, we have a proven plan, and then we can how we can restore using 360. You know,
mm,
the backup and restore tool, like So that's how we started. Then we found all other interesting tools that comes with that, and then we are enjoying each and every aspect of it. Like, see, time to time there are some support ticket I need to open with the support. There are some things doesn't work, or I need to do something more, and then all the support ticket eventually get resolved, and then I'm in a better shape than before. Some of my recommendations, hey, it's a good idea to have this requested for. Maybe down the line you guys are added that as a feature. So that is also one way it kind of helping not only me, for the community. If anybody like me facing the same problem, now they have a feature to to address the
Mhm.
problem. So
And
in
I
that way I
recall,
see a real, yeah.
in fact, I recall for the DR that was you had some very specific criteria
Yes, yes.
in your DR, and
Yes,
that we've implemented actually because these were recommendations that you had done and that are used across. I think today we got about 600 customers,
yes.
and it's actually a very popular functionality. So
Yeah, yeah, I'm glad. I didn't know that 600, but I know there are some people still need it, like
mm,
because we have same problem like a solution. We no need to reinvent the wheel, right? Once we
yeah.
had a solution, yeah, we can reuse it again. Yeah.
And today, like regression testing, so I'm assuming before your business was involved in doing the regression testing, is this something now where they're not as or they're not as involved, or it's completely IT focused now? How does that work?
Yeah, yeah. Regarding the regression testing, typically what we do, we let the business team to test, right?
Mm,
We upgrade in a dev platform. We ask them to, hey, your reports have been upgraded. Go check.
mm,
So mostly we rely on them. So they do testing. See, no one can do validate all the reports, right? They pick up some
of course
major
not.
reports. They check. They spot check some reports. They feel that it's good. They pass. Then down the line we face a problem, and then we go back and see there are some numbers are not. The formulas need to be tweaked after upgrade. The formulas implementation has been changed. I think it happened in 4.1 to 4.2 or somewhere. There is an implementation change in the formulas that reflected on the bad numbers, right? So
Mm,
then after introduction of a 360 suites, like we are able to educate them that, hey, you tell the report where I want to compare. So they pick up the report, and then we run the report before, and they run the before snapshot, we run after snapshot using bind, and then we compare them, and then we send the comparison to them. So that gives them trust. It's not only they are validating themselves, spot checking, and also they can compare using the tool gives a comparison, right? So that gives a more confidence. Then we found some issues too. So even before
mm.
even it goes to production, we are able to solve the problem in the dev platform where we have been upgrading, right? And then once we fix the problem, we rerun the reports again, comparison tool again, make sure that the numbers are matching, and not only the numbers, the graphs and the color scheme, everything matches. Then we roll out into production. That
Mm.
was it's kind of a helpful, and also it build the trust. So now business team, they know that we have a tool to compare reports, right? Once they know the fact that we have the tools, they are more confident that the migration will work for them, right?
So now they trust whatever comes out of
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, yeah. They know that we have a tool to do it, so they kind of started out. Their trust level is now it's more stronger. Like,
Right. And I imagine before it's something that people don't like doing, and it's a very manual process. And
yeah,
damn, I've got to test all the, or I've got to check, compare them one by one. It's kind of a pain, and nobody likes doing that.
yeah. But sometime what they do the shortcut. They say that, hey, everything looks good. Go ahead and do it in production. That means that's even scarier. If they're saying that,
Yeah.
hey, it takes long time, means I understand. They say that, hey, it's good. Go ahead, means, oh my god. So then we are at the risk. What if something fails, or what if they complain in production? Then it's difficult to fix and takes some time, right? Yeah.
Hey, Vasu, as a last question, would you recommend using Wisdom 360 Suite?
Yeah, yeah, of course, yes. Yeah, of course, yes. If anybody want to do it, yeah, this we have a living example. If anybody want to reach out to me, they can feel free to reach out to me. I can share my experience with 360 tools that we use so far in SAP Ariba. Yeah, of course.
I appreciate Vasu. Hey, Vasu,
Yeah.
it was great to be with you. It was great to
Thank you,
so that you
Bruno.
could share actually, how are you using 360, how are you using Bobj, data services, Really, I appreciate that you took the time today, and thank you very much for your trust, and thank you very much for your business as well for you know so many years. So, Vazu, thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Bruno. Thank you so much.